Oh, okay, one person's having trouble getting in? V Fields? All right, okay. Well, welcome everyone to FCC Foodie. Today we're going to be making pineapple casserole. And this is very good anytime, but especially during the Easter holidays if you're serving ham. It's very easy and very good. The only thing, it takes an hour to cook in the oven, and depending on your oven, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it's very easy, very simple, and delicious. Great for any type of side dish, but especially with ham. So what we're going to use in here is butter, sugar, eggs, half and half, light cream. You can use milk or skim milk, whatever you want. 4 cups of bread cubed, and 2 large cans of pineapple. So the first thing we're going to do is I melted the butter, and I'm going to put it in my pan. I did melt it, but it hardened up again already. So I'm going to melt the butter, and then I'm going to stir in the sugar. And I have a 1/4 cup of sugar here. Now, this particular recipe, I like to use it as a side dish. It also can be used as a dessert. And then you would increase the sugar. The recipe calls for a whole full cup of sugar, depending on if you like things real sweet, or if you want to use 3/4 of a cup. But if you want to use it for dessert, you would increase the sugar and great topped with whipped cream or vanilla ice cream. I happen to like it as a side dish, so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm adding only a 1/4 cup of sugar. Let me grab my mixer.
Barbara,
Yes.
This is Kat. Can you make this ahead and or even cook it ahead and then just reheat it that day? Is it a good reheat kind of thing?
Yeah. It may not be as puffy. Sometimes it settles a little bit, but yeah, you could. Yes, you definitely could. So I'm just gonna blend in the sugar real quick. All right, just a little there, because we're gonna beat the eggs in, and then I'll beat it up, more. So it's next thing it says to beat in the butter and the eggs into the butter sugar mixture. So I have 3 eggs here already cracked, and since I'm going to whip them, I didn't take the time to beat them up. Now I'm just using store-bought eggs. I'm not using Andrea's delicious eggs from her chickens.
Is it best to leave your eggs go like room temperature before using them?
Yes, anything that you do, whether it be your milk, your eggs, cream cheese, anything should be room temperature, because it blends better and it bakes more consistently. It should be. Now, one thing that I do is sometimes it's at the last minute. Oh boy, I want to make something and I want to make it now. So what I'll do is I'll take the eggs, I'll put them in a bowl, and I'll put some warm water on top of them and just let them sit there to bring them up to room temperature, and it does work. Not hot boiling water. And then you'll notice that the water gets cold because the eggs are cold, and I just pour that off and put a little bit more. And it doesn't take long, but that's the best way to bring them up to temperature. But if you can plan ahead of time, that's great. just take them out of the refrigerator. So now I'm going to beat the eggs into the butter sugar mixture. And you want to beat it until your eggs are, you know, nice and fluffy, a paler color. You'll see that they get to be a little lighter in color. It takes a couple minutes. And if you're whisking it by hand, it might take a little bit longer.
Is there any reason why you're using a hand mixer as opposed to the standing mixer?
You can use a stand mixer. It's just, I thought it was easier because this is the only thing I'm really going to beat with it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll incorporate
Okay.
the milk, but that's a good question, whatever you want. You can use a regular whisk.
Yeah.
You could probably even use a fork if you want, you know, whatever you have, or if your stand mixer is easier, you know, that's fine. I'm doing it in this bowl because I'm going to be tossing in the pineapple and the bread,
Yeah.
but you could still do it in your bowl for your electric mixer. Almost ready. And you can see that, you know, how that color of the eggs have lightened up. Now, the next thing I will add is a 1/4 cup of half and half. Again, you could use half and half. You could use heavy cream, light cream, skim milk, whole milk, you know, whatever you want, or even probably almond milk. If anyone has ever used almond milk, I've used it in certain things. I find that if you use it in baking or in food prep, you do get a slight, ever so slight of an almond flavor. I notice it. And the same thing with cooking with coconut oil. That seems to be very big now. Every recipe has coconut oil instead of butter, people going away from dairy. I've tried, well, I shouldn't say I have tried, I have had people using it, and coconut oil is just such a distinct flavor. A lot of times it just flavors the whole thing as a coconut. And actually, you know, I had asked someone, they said it's really not good for you because it solidifies, and anything that solidifies is not good for heart health. But that's a matter of opinion. All right, so what I did here now is put in the milk, and I'm going to give that a whirl. Okay. So far, very easy. Now I'm going to add the undrained pineapple because we want the juice. So I have 2 large cans of pineapple here. You know, the 2 large cans, undrained, and I'm going to put them in. I'm using crushed. You can use the chunked or the tibbets if you like biting into, you know, a piece of pineapple. That's your preference, or maybe 1 can of, you know, the chunked, 1 can of the crushed. I happen to like it with, you know, the crushed, so it's all, the flavor is all through. And I'm just going to take a spatula and fold that in. Smell of that pineapples. Reminds me of spring. move this out of the way. All right, so here I have my mixture. And what I'm going to do, I have my bread already cubed. And I'm just I'll put some in. And then fold it around, get that nice and moist.
Your chunks look pretty big. Would you say they're like at least 2 inches?
They're less than an inch, but what I did was I had in the freezer, I had a pack of Casserole, and I'm trying to empty my freezer. So I put I just chopped up the Casserole. You could keep them like that, or you could make them, smaller. So now here's the rest of the bread. Yeah, and you could even just cut them in half. I would say probably a cube like that. And just mix it around, making sure that all of the bread is coated. But when you stir it, you want to make sure you don't flatten it down. Like, in other words, you want to keep the chunks as they are, whole. You don't want to make a mush out of it. And sometime at this point, it's easier just to get your hands in there and mix. I find it is. A couple more tosses and then I'll be able to put it in a pan. And you think it's a lot of moisture, but the bread is absorbing it.
Right.
That nice, good pineapple flavor. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to get the baking dish. I'm using just a glass dish. It could be a metal dish, whatever you want, a stoneware. And you could grease the bottom and then just pour it right into the dish. Just even your pan out. So this makes a 9 by 13 pan. Or if you wanted to, you could put it into smaller pans, freeze one, or have it at two, several different times. Or you could even cut the recipe in half. All right, there we go. And I'm going to put it right into the oven. And this is going to bake for an hour until when you insert the knife in the center, it comes out clean. So this is what we are looking at. It will look similar, just nice and brown. A lot of the juice is absorbed from the bread, has absorbed a lot of the juice, but I always put a baking sheet under it just in case as it's cooking, the heat, it releases some of the juices that it's not splattered all over the oven. Let me just get this out of the way. Okay, all right, so that's our pineapple casserole. The next thing we're going to make is ham and asparagus Mornay. This is very good in the spring when asparagus is, plentiful and reasonably priced at the store. This recipe was originally, the ham was rolled around, instead of asparagus, it was Belgian endive, which kind of looks like romaine hearts, a little bit smaller, but they're a little bit difficult to find. And I love asparagus. I think ham and asparagus pair well together. So I just adopted the recipe and kept the sauce and we'll bake it. So this recipe takes about 2 pounds of asparagus. You know, when you go and you buy the bunches, about 2 pounds, 1.5 pounds of diced ham. And does it always come out exactly even? No, if you have extra ham, you just make a sandwich. Some butter. To make the sauce, you're going to use butter, flour, milk, nutmeg, black pepper, egg, a dash of cayenne pepper. It's not hot, just a dash to enhance the flavor. A cup of heavy cream, again, light cream if you want, an egg, Swiss cheese, and cheddar cheese. Now, the first thing that you do is take your asparagus, and you're going to trim off the edges. As you know, take your asparagus and trim off your edges. You know, the bottom edge, the woody part. Now, you can make this any way you want. I steam my asparagus. You can saute it. You can roast it. All very similar. It's going to give you just a different flavor. Ernie, you're in charge of the cat. So I don't have a visitor here. I gave you the hard job, yes. All right, so first thing you do is, and then let it cool so you can work with it. And we keep them in their spears. And the next thing I do is I make the bechamel sauce, the cream sauce. And I have that done here already also. And what I did with this is I took you melt the butter, the 3 tablespoons of butter in a saucepan, and 5 tablespoons of flour. And of course you're making your roux, and you cook your flour for a couple minutes. So it's not raw, you're cooking that, and keep whisking it. Stir in just a dash of the cayenne pepper. I just put ever so slight of a dash. It's not even measurable. I can't say like it's 1/8 of a teaspoon or anything. It's just one little shake. You gotta be careful that you don't dump the whole thing. One little shake of the cayenne pepper. And I also put some regular black pepper in. Whether you're grinding it yourself or just putting it in, a little pepper. And then the milk. The milk should be warmed, 3 cups of milk. I measure it out and I just stick it in the microwave, or you can leave it set for room temperature. It'll make your cream sauce a little bit faster. Then I'm going to stir about 15 minutes until it's nice and thick. Once has come to a nice thick consistency, as you can see how I'm dripping it and it coats the back of a spoon, then I'm going to add in my cream. And the one thing that makes this sauce very nice is nutmeg. If you don't like the flavor of nutmeg, you can leave it out. But the nutmeg, the ham, and the asparagus gives it a very nice flavor. I happen to use whole nutmegs, and I have a grinder or one of those little planes you can, and just put this on here, and then you just turn it and it grinds it. If you don't have one of these, you can use a grater and grate the nutmeg, but the nutmeg really gives it a good flavor. And again, if you don't like it, leave it out. So then you're going to bring it back up to a boil. But you have to constantly stir so it doesn't wind up scorching. So now I'm ready to assemble. I have my sauce, I have my asparagus. And these you could do, I steamed this yesterday, I made this yesterday, so I was ready for today. So it doesn't have to take that long. I'm going to get my pan and my dish and set myself up here. Again, I'm going to be using a 9x13 pan. I had some nice, pretty sunflower looking baking pans, but somehow they've all broken over the years, so we're down to these. I have my pan here, and what I will do is take some of the sauce and just spread it on the bottom. Just to cover, because this is where our ham and asparagus will be put right on top of here. Coat your pan. And you don't need a lot, just like as if you're making lasagna or whatever, and you put your tomato sauce down. So I'm gonna put this over here for 1 second. And I have a package of boiled ham, the low salt ham, that's what we get. This is boar's head. And I take about two, get this right here, about 2 pieces of ham, and you can make them as big or as small as you want. And they cut this nice and thin. And again, not exact, I kind of overlap them. So I have 2 pieces. If you want 3 pieces, that's fine. I usually take about 4, depending on how big my asparagus is. Actually, I have 5 here because they're a little bit on the smaller side. And I'm gonna lay them right into the center of the ham, or not the center, the edge, and it's just roll. So here are, this is my asparagus rolled with the ham. So now I'm going to lay it right in my pan, and I just continue this until you have finished. What comes first, the ham or the asparagus? What are you going to run out first? So I'll take about, since I did 5 on that other one. Now, sometimes you might only need 3 or 4 because last week when I bought asparagus, they were a lot thicker. The stalks were. And you're just going to lay them. And I separate 2 pieces and just move them over so it covers quite a bit of the asparagus. And you just keep rolling. Now, if you don't like ham, I don't know, could you use turkey? Maybe. I have never tried it, but why not? Now, what I'm going to try for the first time, for this Easter, this dish is very good with the sauce and everything, but we're going to my daughter's in-laws for Easter dinner, and my daughter and her husband, they're vegetarians. So I mean, when she was home and, you know, a little girl, she used to like this dish. So what I'm going to try to do, and I'll see how it works, and I'll report back, or somebody remind me to tell you, I'm going to slice up eggplant thin, you know, the long way, and I'm going to saute it so it gets pliable, and try rolling eggplant around this. We're trying to think of something that we could roll. I mean, I could roll around it. And I also thought of roasted red peppers. You know, you get the whole peppers and then you just roast them in the oven. So it's like a half, and then roll them. But I wasn't sure if that would be too strong of a flavor. Because sometimes peppers can dominate. What do you think?
So Barbara, you have to roast the eggplant before you put in the dish, or you can just put it in.
I'm gonna saute it in a pan, with
Okay.
olive oil.
Okay.
Just saute it quick enough to, so it starts to be pliable.
Mm,
I can roll it, I don't wanna
okay.
cook it too much because it's gonna be sliced real thin. And then I don't want it to disintegrate because now everything really here is cooked. The asparagus is steamed, roasted, however you want to do it. Roasted asparagus is very good. I've always steamed this. And then basically just putting the sauce over top and the cheeses and then just heating it, for 20 minutes until everything heats through and your cheese melts and browns. So this is the only time consuming part of it, but not too bad. And I did not look at the package when I bought them. I wound up buying this asparagus at Aldi's because that's where I was, and I believe it comes in 1 pound packages. So I wound up buying 3 just because they didn't look real big as I had gotten them the week before in ShopRite. And if you like more ham, you could always add, more slices. You like each roll to be thicker, that's something that you can do. I also like to serve this with rice. I'm not making rice today because I have the pineapple casserole, but it is delicious served over rice. I can serve it over, anything you want, but rice is very nice. Makes a nice spring dish or even a nice dish for Easter. I think that dish is full. So usually it does make about two dishes.
Barbara, you only do 1 layer?
Yes. Yes, I do. Good thought. Good question. Yes, I only do 1 layer because I'm gonna put the sauce over here once I'm done rolling everything. Put the sauce over it and then sprinkle it with cheese. And I try when I put them in the pan to, not crowd them too much because once you have the sauce on and the cheese melted, you don't know where one starts and one ends. So I try to give a little bit of a space between them so you could stick your spatula in so you don't wind up breaking any of them. Now I'm just going to lay these right here and just keep rolling until I'm finished with my asparagus. And it makes a nice presentation for company too. So did anyone think of anything else I could roll these with? Some kind of a vegetable? I mean, I think pepper might be strong, but eggplant. I don't think of anything else that would wrap around there.
How about
I
one
think
of the
I-
cabbages?
What was that?
One of the cabbages? Or would that be too strong?
No, that might be a good idea. Boil the cabbage almost like you're making, stuffed cabbage, so it's pliable. Oh, there's a thought. I didn't even think of cabbage.
I would get the Asian eggplant because they hardly have seeds like a regular one.
Yeah.
but the eggplant sounds good. And I would put red pepper inside the roll.
Well, you know what? Who knows? Maybe I will, because I have, they had peppers for 99 cents last week, and I got this big bag. And, you know, and then what I do is I roast them, you know, just cut them in half, put a little oil, salt and pepper on them, put them in, you know, a pan, and then just roast them. Yeah, you know, there you have a thought, Jack, you know, maybe a pepper in there and make a couple without peppers in case someone doesn't like peppers. Let me get the rest of my ham. Yeah, this is the only time-consuming part of it. Yeah, I like that idea. And this, like I said, I always serve it with the rice, but I'm not today because we have the pineapple casserole. So that'll be something different. I like if we have ham with a pineapple casserole. So this is ham, and instead of the rice, we'll try that. Okay. Now, does anyone have any ideas or anything for future shows? Anything else that they would like? Now, remember, we like to try to get it done in an hour.
Yeah.
Or if not, we could always maybe work a way to do it, figure it out.
Maybe a real good chicken soup. I was in New York, they made a Spanish chicken soup and it was so good. I can never duplicate that.
Oh,
Something missing.
what was the, what did they have in it that made it Spanish? Was
They
it-
made it was chicken like, but I'm not sure how, maybe it was a rooster, you know, it tastes different. I'm not sure, I can never have the same taste like they did. And it was very costly. One bowl was like $3.50 back then in the middle of 90s. So it wasn't cheap at all. It was real good. I don't know.
Huh, that's,
Weird.
I'll have to
Can
look
never
up
do
to
that.
see if there's a recipe for that.
Mm.
Coming to the end of the asparagus.
Barbara, do you have a good recipe for like a pot pie, like a chicken pot pie or a turkey pot pie?
Yes, I do. I do.
Oh, good.
That would be good.
That's good too.
Yes,
And I never make dumplings, so that's another.
I do have a recipe for dumplings. As a matter of fact, it's so nice when you make like a chicken quote stew. There's so many things you could do with that, you know, because basically, you know, the stews and everything else are all the same. It's, you know, the vegetables and everything with the chicken cut up. And you can put, you know, the crust on top of it to make the chicken pot pie. You can make, you know, the biscuits, and, you know, instead of, you know, and then put it on the pot and cook that. Yes, matter of fact, we had that. I think that was last week I made that. You know, some people will put the puff pastry or the phyllo dough over it. You know, it's just real easy to mix up your flour, your butter. Okay, so now I'm done with this one. Let me just put the ham away. And as a matter of fact, we happen to be in Newport, is it Rhode Island? Wait, where is that? Newport, Connecticut. That sea harbor. And we had, this was a number of years ago, and we had stopped at a seafood restaurant right out front, and they had a seafood pot pie. Which, See, one thing, I don't forget anything, especially if a taste. You know, and it was like, that thing was delicious, but sometimes you don't know. Sometimes I'll start and try, and sometimes it's like, okay, you don't, but you know, when you want something long enough and ask, it comes around. So it just happened to be in a recipe I found for seafood pot pie, and I started reading the ingredients, and it had a really good flavor, and one of the things seasoning in it was tarragon, and this recipe had the tarragon in it, and all of a sudden I realized, oh, I'm gonna try it. Excellent, excellent. And it wasn't that hard. Let me wash my hands real quick and get myself another pan. A couple here.
Another thing I want to make or find is a recipe for like, I've had it like smoked trout pate or a fish. They have it in Florida all the time in like their appetizer section. It's like a fish spread, you know, and I'm all,
I don't think I've ever had that.
oh my gosh, it is just to die for. And usually the fish is somehow smoked, you know, that it just tastes so delicious.
I remember when I was growing up, and haven't had it since because I wouldn't even know where to go. There was a deli. Well, back then they had mom and pop grocery stores, I think, on every corner. And this was a market and a butcher, and it was called Katz's Deli. And he had a smoked whiting that was delicious. Oh, I mean, it was very good. And you know, you eat it, you know, just like it was. And so I don't need another pan. I'm doing what I said don't do and just squeezing them in a little bit here. All right, so now I have, you see how much, this was 3 packs of asparagus from Aldi's. They could be about a pound. And I did buy 2 pounds of ham just so I didn't run out. And I used about 1.5 pounds. So, what I ended up extra with is the ham. So now what I'm going to do here is find my hand towel. I left it over here. I'm going to bring back my sauce. And I have an egg, okay? And I'm going to just get my whisk. You like my whisk, he has an egg head to him. Just whisk this up a little bit, and I'm going to put the egg in the sauce. I'm gonna make it puff up a little bit. And just mix it all in. Once you have the egg mixed in, you're going to spread it over your ham. So you want to evenly just pour it all over the ham. I'm just going to pour it first before I spread it out, making sure I have enough for both pans. Now, I usually spread it out the whole thing. You can make it fancy and put it right down the center like that. That would be fine as well. I like this sauce, so that's why I spread it all over. So everything gets covered, and you don't have to do that because remember, you're not really cooking like as if you were making stuffed shells or lasagna, that you need to cover all of the noodles so they cook well. you don't need to do that. So depends on what type of presentation you want. I really like the sauce. Sometimes I'll make a batch and a half to make more, because anything with sauce and cheese.
It's good.
Spatula and not waste anything here. Okay, now I did hear a beep. I'm not sure where that was coming from.
It was my phone, sorry.
Oh, okay, all right. It sounded like it was in the kitchen and I'm thinking, now what's talking to me? It was so clear, like you were standing right in here. Every once in a while when you're watching television, it's like, was that my phone? Or
Yeah, right.
it sounds like it's right in the room. All right, so now I have all the sauce on. And then I have grated Swiss cheese and cheddar. Now the combination, I mean, the Swiss cheese is very good with ham, and the combination of the Swiss and cheddar is excellent. So I'm going to take the Swiss, spread it all over. And then the cheddar. And everything is cooked. So what we're doing is heating it through and melting the cheese, and until the cheese gets a little brown and bubbly. Here we go. And here's our finished product of ham and asparagus Mornay. Now I'm going to put it in the oven. I'll put this over here and cook this one later.
Looks very nice.
Mhm.
And I always have a pan underneath. And put that in, and I'll set the timer for about, I'll set it for 20 minutes. Now I have something else in that oven, so it might take a little bit longer, but that makes a nice holiday dinner, just a regular dinner, or, you know, for company. It's a lot, believe it or not, even though it has the cheese and the cream sauce on, it is a light meal. It's not real heavy because, and you usually serve about, you know, start with 2 rolls, and you have asparagus and the ham. You could see that was sliced very thin. If you wanted to, you could do 1 piece, but have it sliced a little thicker. That's up to your preference. However you want to do. I like the thinner, so I can spread it out and it covers most of the asparagus. You can have just like 1 piece that's thicker, whatever. Now, if again, if you're not eating ham, maybe turkey. I've never tried it with turkey. I don't know. You know, the sauce itself goes good on anything. I'm like I said, I'm going to try it with eggplant, and maybe I'll wrap some with peppers first, then the eggplant, and then the asparagus, and that'll make, you know, that'll make for a nice dish with the sauce over it and the cheese. and that it's a hearty vegetable. I've been trying to make more vegetable dishes. As a matter of fact, Ernie, do you want to run in and get my?
Great.
Yeah, I got some more cookbooks. That's what I didn't need, but I got more. I love cookbooks. And I'm always trying to, every day is a new diet for me. So it was like, okay, let's try to eat more vegetables, which we have been. But instead of just like having, okay, you're having separate, I like to make things that, combined different types of vegetables. That's almost like a casserole, and that you can, have a meal out of them. And especially, I was quite, influenced by, my daughter who is, who went vegetarian, that if I am making a dinner, you can't have just a bowl of cauliflower or eggplant, I'm trying to make, meals that are meatless. And, I have succeeded. It's very, very, very easy. So I happen to see, I do have an Instapot, which my daughter gave me for Christmas a couple of years ago. And I love it. I really do. It's a pressure cooker. My mom always cooked with a pressure cooker, but it was the one that you put on a stove, and it was like, stay away from it, and all the steam and everything. So I always was afraid of it. But when they came out with the electric Instapot, I like it. So we found it's called Mediterranean Instapot recipes. And I've been trying them this week. Here they are.
Hi, ladies, I'm all ready for Easter with my Easter bonnet.
Very stylish, Ernie.
And this one is the Mediterranean Instapot. And I have made several things out of this, very good. And I have a list in here of different recipes that I want to try. So I don't know if anyone is interested in, some, meatless things. And here's another one, the best of the Mediterranean. This isn't with the Instapot. Again, I have a list in there. And this one I haven't explored too much, just a little bit. And this is the plant-based. So I'm trying to get healthy. So yeah, I'm real excited about these. And does anyone here have an Instapot?
Not yet, but I was thinking, I always think like, doesn't really kill like antioxidants, the high temperature, or I don't know. I never look into it yet.
Right.
I've always had a pressure cooker, but it wasn't the old fashioned kind. It's more like an Instapot.
Yeah, well, I should say pressure cooker. It doesn't have to be an Instapot.
The same thing, no?
I have. Just as long, and all of these recipes would work, because we could always do, if enough people have one, we could always, do, a recipe, or talk about some of the things that I have found that work in it, and some of the things maybe you have worked with. But yeah, it's I have found that that I'm liking it, and it's quick, and it, believe it or not, it does make a very, very good chicken soup. I was skeptical, okay, you have to do it on the stove, but a friend of mine wasn't feeling well, and she couldn't really cook for herself, so you have to make a person chicken soup. So but I got a chicken and put it in, and it was very, very good. It really brings out the flavor, because I like to not use, try to use the flavor of the chicken as opposed to, a lot of like the chicken broths and stuff. I do use them, the low sodium, but not as much. But that really brings out the flavor of it. So I know that, my daughter had shown interest of, coming down one day when she's not busy, or she can get off of work one of the Tuesdays, and she's, she would show us a meatless dish, because, and I said, yeah, we'll see, come down and be our guest.
Yes.
Or if anybody, wants to, do something that they have a favorite recipe and they want to do it for us, that's fine. You could Zoom in with us and, that would be great.
Mhm.
And Nicole will send these recipes out to you. I imagine she has been every week. So, hopefully that you're collecting, these recipes, and maybe we can make an FCC. Nicole, maybe we can make an FCC's foodie cookbook. Is she listening to me? She said, don't give me anything else
I
to
heard
do.
you.
Oh, she did. She's listening.
I heard you. No,
All
I just
right.
got I'm on my break now, so.
Oh, okay. All
I was
right.
like, I heard you.
All right, and next, what is it, April 13th, that's after Easter, at 11:30 is our next one, second and fourth Tuesdays. And, if you have any ideas, you can always send to Nicole, or my email is just Camlet, CAMLET, @ptd.net. You could always send information to me. Nicole and I always usually confer anyway as to what we're going to do. You have ideas, and Kat, you gave me some ideas, pot pies and stuff like that. But anything else for spring coming up? The 13th, and then the next thing is Mother's Day, but we normally don't cook for ourselves, but why not?
Well, then we need to focus on chocolate.
Oh, there you go.
Very-
Chocolate, I like that. Yes. All
yeah.
right. Well, does anyone have any questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right. Everyone have a happy Easter.
I vote
Same
for
to you.
chocolate.
And, thanks for coming. I really
It was very
appreciate
nice. Thank you.
you taking the time, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Barbara.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
It was very
All right.
nice.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.